What's up guys? Today we're going to check out the Valerion VisionMaster Plus 2 4K projector. Now this projector was sent to me for review by Valerion. Inside the box, the projector comes in a hard foam carrying case. Included is the power brick, a cleaning cloth, the remote control, batteries, and the manual. On the front, you'll find the sensors for the autofocus and laser dimming feature, as well as a fixed focal length lens. On the bottom is an adjustable kickstand, which lets you adjust the angle of the projector when it's placed on a flat surface. There's also two adjustable feet located in the inside corners and a threaded insert if you want to place this on a tripod or a projector mount. On the back is a drop-down door covering the connections. There's the power input, optical output, two USB inputs, 3 HDMI 2.1 inputs with support for ARC, a 3.5mm output, LAN connection, and the power button. Going over the specs, it's rated at 2000 ISO lumens, native contrast is 3000 to 1, it'll cover 110% Rec 2020, it supports Dolby Vision as well as HDR10 and has 3D support as well as smart features. Alright, once you get the projector out of the box and you go through the Android TV setup, you will be taken to the home screen. So this is your typical Android TV, Google TV user interface, and it is a very snappy user interface. Now this does run off of Android TV OS 12.0, so you will have all your recommended content once you sign into your apps, and everything here is available at the touch of a button. But let's go up to the top and just check out some of the projector settings. I'm not going to go over all of the settings in actual Android TV, so we're only going to go over the projector settings. So the first option here is the auto keystone correction, which you will see it will automatically try to auto keystone the projector for you automatically. Next option is the manual keystone correction. So once you pick a spot, let's say in the upper left corner, you can press the button and it'll move to the various different spots. So choose up and down, and then you can use this, and then you can move this in any direction you want to get your image lined up with your wall or your screen. If you want to reset it, hold down the menu button, and then it'll reset everything. And then the next option is auto screen fit. Once you use that, it'll automatically try and fit the image to your screen automatically. Autofocus is obviously going to try and automatically focus the projector for your screen to get the sharpest image, or you can just go into manual focus and then press up and down to try and get it until you have it totally perfect. The next option here is display zoom. This does not have an optical zoom, but a digital zoom. So you can zoom out all the way, which will make the image smaller, but keep in mind, if you can see around the outside edges of the picture, that is the actual usable pixels on screen. So by digitally manipulating the picture, you're effectively going from a 4K resolution down to probably about 1080p. So you're going to want to keep this as large as possible and just move the projector physically in and out, because using digital zoom is going to cut into the effective resolution of the pixels. The next option here is position adjustment. So you can move the image around left and right inside the box if you had previously used digital adjustment. So let's say we go digital zoom, we're going to shrink it down. Let's go back to position adjustment, and you can see here we can now move the image digitally. Again, do not do this because you will be losing out on resolution. The next option here is auto eye protection. So by turning that on, if you pass in front of the projector, it will automatically dim down the laser so you don't accidentally blind yourself. We have auto keystone up motion. So if you move the projector, it'll try to automatically adjust the image to wherever the projector is pointing, so you get a nice square image. Same thing for the autofocus. If you move the projector, it'll automatically try to autofocus the image based on where you have currently moved the projector to. Auto obstacle avoidance will try to move the image around if you pass in front of the screen. Auto screen fit in on motion also will try to move the image if you pass in front of the projector. And then here we have projection mode. We got 4 different options. We got front ceiling, rear, and then rear ceiling. Next option here is auto fit flip. So if you mount this on your ceiling, this will automatically flip the image right side up. 3D is turned off because we're not watching 3D content, but this projector does support 3D. DLP Turbo Mode is used for gaming, so it'll give you lower latency for your video gaming. High Altitude Mode will adjust the fan to its highest output if you are in a high elevation area to keep the projector cool. And then Ultra Sharp Mode will fine-tune the sharpness of the picture to give you the sharpest image possible digitally. And the next section here is the display and sound. Under picture, we have a few different picture presets. We've got Vivid, Standard, Sports, PC Game, Energy Savings, which will dim down the brightness of the projector, Theater, and then Filmmaker mode. These two modes has a slight warmer tone to the image. So for right now, we're just going to use this in Standard mode, which will give us a brighter image here. And you can apply all of those picture modes to all available sources if you want to, or just the current source. Under General, we've got Content Type Auto Detection. You can turn that on or off, so this will switch between Filmmaker mode or IMAX if the content is tagged as such. Auto Picture Mode will automatically change the picture mode depending on the content that you're watching. And then AI Scene, you can turn this on or off. And then the last option here is AI Scene, which will use AI technology to sharpen and analyze the image depending on the content that you're watching. Next section here is Laser Luminance. We can go up to a +10 down to a 0. For now, we're going to keep this on +10, so it'll max out the laser luminance. Enhanced black level will enhance your black levels. Contrast, black level, dark detail. Dark detail will enhance the dark details by analyzing the luminance level and making automatic adjustments in real time. Gamma settings, we've got from a 2.0 up to BT 1886. We've got active contrast, which will automatically try to enhance your contrast levels. And then brightness enhancer will do the same. It will adjust the brightness for the projected output. Here we've got color settings, hue settings, color temperature. We've got warm 1, warm 2, standard, and then cool. Color space, we've got native, auto, BT 709, P3, and then BT 20. So to take the guesswork out, we're just going to keep this on auto. And then dynamic color enhancer will enhance the color saturation depending on what you're watching. So you can turn that on low, medium, and high. Under clarity, we've got sharpness, smooth gradient, which will take some of the posterization out of the image if you're watching a poor resolution source. Super resolution will automatically sharpen the image to give you a sharper picture. We've got noise reduction, MPEG noise reduction, and then motion enhancement. We've got off, custom, clear, standard, and then smooth. If you want to go under custom, you can adjust the judder reduction and then blur reduction. So if you want that smooth soap opera effect, this is where you would make those settings. And then under the calibration settings, you can fine-tune the output of red, green, blue, yellow, cyan, magenta, and then flesh tone. If you do not have the appropriate settings, then you're probably going to want to leave that alone. Same option for white balance. You've got 2-point or 20-point, gamma calibration, and then you can go into the RGB only mode. And then the last option under picture is reset. Under screen, you can stretch out the image if we are watching applicable content. We've got overscan adjustment, screen size. We've got anywhere from 80 inches up to 150 inches. So this will give you the best option for your corresponding screen size. And then the next option here is sound. We've got TV sound. We've got DTS Virtual X on and off mode. Sound mode, we've got a few different options here, which we'll come and check out later. Under advanced settings, we've got auto acoustic tuning. We've got equalizer, so you got a few different bands here. Wall mount setting, you can turn that on and off. And then balance. We've got auto volume control, which will automatically level the volume, so it's not either too loud or too low. The volume level, we have it at 0. We've got lip sync delay, and then the reset all. We've got eARC settings here, digital audio output. We've got HDMI auto device guide. We've got WiSA speaker settings, wired headphone, and then audio only if you want to turn off the image and just listen to the audio only. And then the last option here is audio output. Here we can output the audio through the inbuilt speakers, through HDMI ARC, through the optical output, through a Bluetooth speaker, through a WiSA speaker setup, wired headphones, or you can always use the inbuilt speakers. And that is it for all of the projector settings. So let's go out, check out a couple of my favorite apps and see how this looks for 4K HDR. First up here, this is the Disney Plus app. As you can see, since this is an IMAX enhanced projector, this does indeed support IMAX enhanced, Dolby Vision, and Dolby ATMOS, and it is 4K. And as you can see in the upper right hand corner, this does support Dolby Vision. If we go under the audio output options, you can see here that you can turn IMAX enhanced sound with DTS-X on or off. Now, if you are watching Dolby Vision content, by tapping on settings, you can go into the picture options here, and you have a few different options for Dolby Vision material. We've got Dolby Vision Bright, we've got Dolby Vision Dark, and then Dolby Vision Custom. And here we are in the YouTube app. If we go under the settings, you can see that this does support indeed 4K HDR, so 2160p HDR, and it is a great looking image. One thing to note is that if you are in one of the apps, as you are scrolling down, if the app has to load up the thumbnails, the UI can get a little bit janky. So as you can see here, there is a bit of a stutter as all the images have to refresh. So keep that in mind if you are an impatient kind of person and you want to zip through all the menus. I mean, this could just be an app thing because the main home screen is pretty snappy without that stuttery lagginess. So within apps, you might notice that it does get a little bit stuttery. Now for the dynamic color enhancer option here, by going up very slowly, this is low, medium, and then high, you can see that the image does get slightly more saturated the higher that you go up. It's very slight, so I mean, depending on the content that you're watching, this might be an option that you like or you don't like. For me personally, I do like to keep it on off. Now if we take a look at the color temperature, we've got the first option here is warm 1, which you can see the image does look fairly warm. We've got warm 2, which is a little bit cooler. Standard, even more cooler. Cool is a little bit more bluer. And then I think the most accurate presentation here is either going to be between warm 1 and warm 2, which gives it a more movie cinematic feel to it, which I think warm 1 accomplishes. All right, so on the remote control, there's actually an AI button on the upper right-hand corner. By tapping it, this will bring up the AI box, which is a selection of different AI functions. So the first one is AI Scene. This will basically try to upscale or add additional detail on a scene-by-scene basis. You can turn that on or off. The next one is Dark Detail. Next one is Super Resolution, which you can turn that on or off. Or if you turn AI Scene on, that automatically knocks out Super Resolution. So if you keep that off, you can keep the AI Super Resolution on all the time, whereas this one does it automatically. And then AI Access, I haven't used this feature yet, but if you go to the guide, this tells you exactly what it does. So it lets you chat with ChatGPT or Gemini within the projector. But what I want to check out here is the dark detail. So right now we've got it turned off, and you can see here that I'm looking at a scene from the Joker. So we can see his jacket is pretty dark, but let's go ahead, turn the dark detail on. Then we'll back right out of it, and you can see here that the black floor or the black levels have raised slightly, so we can see a little bit more detail in his jacket. So the outline of his tie is a little bit better, and then the folds in his jacket also slightly better. So if you do want to get a little bit more detail out of the black levels, I would say keep dark detail on. Now, having dynamic tone mapping on board is actually pretty impressive because most of the DLP projectors that I have reviewed in the past do not have dynamic tone mapping. So by turning this on, this will try to keep the highlights intact and also kind of keep the shadows and the black levels from being too dark and too crushed. So by having dynamic tone mapping on board, that's a pretty nice feature that really separates it from a lot of the other DLP projectors in its price range. And then for active contrast, right now it's turned off, but we can turn it on and you can see how the image dimmed down just a little bit. So It darkened the image a little bit, brightened up some of the whites just slightly. And then we can go medium and then high. You can see that this actually brightens up the image considerably while still trying to keep black levels fairly consistent. And again, the laser level luminance here, I think if you have a larger screen, 10 is probably your best bet. And I think most people are probably just going to keep this on 10. And then here's the enhanced black level. Right now it's off, but if we turn it on, you can see that your laser luminance level grays out. So you can't adjust that because the enhanced black level will automatically adjust the laser luminance to enhance the black levels. But again, this is a subjective thing, so you're going to want to adjust this to your taste. So if you like it better with on or off, you can do that here. Now, just for comparison, I'm comparing the same scene with my own JVC NZ8, which does cost several $1,000s more than the Valerion. And as you can see, the Valerion does actually a really good job of hanging in with the JVC. The JVC does have slightly more shadow detail, and just the overall picture quality is a bit cleaner and smoother overall. I think the slight negative thing with the Valerion is that since it is still using DLP upscaling technology to achieve 4K resolution, the image doesn't have quite the smooth look or smooth filmic look that the JVC has. The image is actually slightly noisier on the Valerion, so just the structure, the grainy structure, is a little bit more visible on the Valerion than it is with the JVC. And if we are going to pixel peep, you can see up close that the pixel structure is almost non-existent on the JVC. And then on the Valerion, you can see all the tiny pixels. That is if you are sitting up close enough. But still, really impressive. At a 10-foot distance and beyond, the Valerion holds its own pretty well with the JVC, which again does cost several $1,000s more. Now, as far as the 4K HDR quality, this again throws out a great looking image. The colors are vibrant, they're very rich. The HDR pop is there. The black levels and contrast definitely aid in that HDR pop. And the color saturation, again, looks wonderful. And the cool thing about this projector is that it is a surprisingly very bright projector. So this is lighting up a 120-inch image right now. And this is, I would say, just as bright as my JVC. So, I mean, that's saying something. Now, one thing to note is that if you are a fan of 3D, most of these DLP projectors does support 3D playback. Unfortunately, with this projector, if we go in and try to play back a 3D ISO using an external 3D player, such as a Zidu media player, once you hit play, all you'll get is a black screen. You will get audio, but you will get no picture. I don't know if this is a limitation of the projector itself, or maybe it's a problem with the media player. However, I do have 3 Zidu media players on hand, and none of them play back 3D ISOs or 3D folder playback. Maybe this can be addressed with a firmware update because these media players are very popular for 3D playback, and a lot of 3D fans use these media players. However, if you're watching 3D content that's in either side-by-side or in this up and down format, all you've got to do is hit on the menu button, which will bring up the quick set bar on the bottom half here. Go over to your 3D settings, and then you can go down to either left and right or up and down. And once the projector flips over, you can see that 3D does in fact work, and it does work really well. So if you have the compatible DLP 3D glasses, this throws out an incredibly bright 3D image. So with a lot of the more popular, more expensive 3D projectors that are out right now, especially for this year, they have basically omitted 3D from their projector lineup. So for instance, Sony, Epson, they've all gotten rid of 3D from their current year projectors for 2024. However, JVC still does make 3D projectors. But again, those projectors are several $1,000s more, whereas this one is a fraction of the cost of a JVC and throws out a 3D image just as good. Now, as far as video gaming, I think right on the onset, you might notice a very slight lag between a button press and by the time the character or whatever reacts on screen. But after about a minute or so, you will get acclimated to how everything works, and I don't think that you're going to be bothered too much by that slight input lag. Of course, if you are a hardcore video gamer, you're just going to want to plug this into your gaming monitor. But for some casual gaming, or even if you are pretty competitive with games like NBA 2K, I think you'll get used to it pretty quickly.
Might scare you. Why would I be scared of that guy? I'm the one who killed that guy, remember? Anyone else here killed that guy? Nope. Didn't think so. Cool, going to tell everybody who chopped that up? Big head off.
Stormbreaker?
Oh, who was swinging Stormbreaker?
At the time of this video, the Valerion Plus 2 is selling for $14.99. In comparing it to my JVC, I think it held up surprisingly well considering the price and the fact that the JVC is a native 4K projector. The JVC does have a more stable, cleaner looking image with better black levels, but considering the price, you would expect it to. The Valerion still threw a very impressive image, and I think has the best black levels of any DLP projector around $5,000 and below that I've tested so far, and did come the closest to the JVC. It's got a very sharp image and plenty of brightness to light up a 120-inch screen while still making HDR bright and vibrant. The projector is capable of throwing an image from 40 inches up to 300. The built-in speakers are plenty loud for some casual listening, and the projector's fan was just as quiet as the JVC. I also did not notice any rainbow effect. The only real negative I had was that it could not play frame-packed 3D files or Blu-rays. I'm sure this can be addressed in a future firmware update. With that said, this is a great little lifestyle projector that will give projectors costing several times more some healthy competition. Now, if you do want some more information on this projector, I will leave some links for it down below in this video's description. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again in the next video.